Hello and welcome to the short video Executive Functioning and Neurodiversity, which is part of our Learning Resource South video series on neurodiversity. My name is Amy Accardo. I'm an associate professor at Rowan University within the Interdisciplinary and Inclusive Education Department. In this session, we will focus on neurodiversity and education. We will focus on executive functioning specifically, as well as strategies to improve executive functioning skills, and I will also provide several resources and links. So building on neurodiversity as a strength, let's start by highlighting a book by Thomas Armstrong. In his 2018 book, Armstrong details 8 reasons that we need neurodiversity in education, with a focus on, and I'm going to quote, reforming special education so that it de-emphasizes a disability paradigm and reflects instead a diversity perspective. Number 1, higher expectations lead to higher achievement. We all know as educators that high expectations equal higher outcomes, and neurodiversity emphasizes looking at students in special education in terms of their strengths and using strengths to reduce challenges. The students you have who receive a high level of support, maybe in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, these students are increasingly attending college, and if you do not yet realize this, it's time to realize it now. Number 2, we need a growth paradigm to replace a deficit paradigm. Labels come from a deficit paradigm and impact student identity and self-awareness, and it's time to shift the focus to affirm positive futures for our students. And for example, companies are purposefully recruiting neurodivergent students for their strengths. Number 3, neurodiversity supports the inclusion movement. This means centering students in the classroom and in our schools with a focus on their strengths. Number 4, neurodiversity aligns with the school's other programs and policies on diversity. All schools have policies to promote the value of diversity, and neurodiversity and intersectionality align with these programs, and as such should be included in lessons and policies dedicated to promoting equity in learning. Number 5, neurodiversity helps to stimulate real reform in our schools. Real reform may be needed, for example, if there are not supports in place for inclusion to be effective, or if neurodiversity is not part of school diversity programs and policies yet. Number 6, neurodiversity helps reduce bullying in schools. Projecting a positive image of diversity, including neurodiversity, makes students who are different less of a target and more, better respected. Number 7, neurodivergent individuals can change the world. Back to number 1, high expectations lead to great impact. And finally, number 8, we need a diversity of minds to be prepared for whatever may happen in the future. So think about the fact that as educators, as parents, we know we don't need one kind of learner, right? Think about Howard Gardner and multiple intelligences here. We need a multitude of perspectives. And this is a great book and a recommended resource for all educators and families and anyone who wants to consider disability from a strength perspective. Continuing with the work of Thomas Armstrong and focusing on neurodiversity in education, let's consider 2 education paradigms as described by Armstrong here. In the left column, we see that elements of a deficit-based medical model of special education focus on disability. Instruction focuses on remediating deficits and meeting instructional objectives. And the goal that our students learn is to learn how to live with their disability. Conversely, on the right column, elements of a strength-based special education program grounded in neurodiversity focuses on diversity, disability as diversity, and building strengths to overcome challenges. Program goals are to develop human potential and students learn to maximize their strengths and minimize their weaknesses. So using a strength-based education system, one area in which we want to maximize strengths of our neurodivergent students is that of executive functioning. So what is executive functioning? According to the source Learning Disability Online, the executive functions are a set of processes that all have to do with managing oneself and one's resources in order to achieve a goal. Executive functioning is an umbrella term for the neurologically based skills involving mental control and self-regulation. In other words, executive functioning skills are cognitive processes that help us control our own goal-directed behavior. And there are many executive functioning skills. Some examples are task initiation, organization, flexibility, maintaining focus, self-monitoring, working memory, managing emotions, impulse control, time management, response inhibition, metacognition, goal-directed behavior, and the list goes on and on. Continuing with the source Learning Disability Online, executive function differences may result in difficulties such as difficulty planning a project, telling a story verbally or in writing, communicating details in an organized manner, memorizing and retrieving information, generating activities or ideas, and retaining information. So recognizing that our neurodivergent kids and students may have impairment in executive functioning is essential to establishing instructional supports. But the real good news is executive functioning skills do improve with practice. So in the books, there are a few books shown here. On the left side of the screen, Rigler, Rutherford, and Quinn suggest using a graphic organizer similar to the one I generated on the right of the screen to self-reflect and to identify executive function skills, strengths, and goals across applicable areas. So for example, I selected 6 areas to put in this graphic organizer, and you could change them up and place any 6 areas here. So thinking about organization, could you list in that circle under the word organization whether this is a strength or a goal for you in a few details? Same thing with starting tasks, maintaining focus, persistence, recalling information, and action planning. And this is important because identifying strengths and areas to work on can help each individual to locate strategies and tools to improve executive functioning. The other book on this slide is a book by Thomas Armstrong, and while not specific to executive functioning, it can be used to support development of positive executive functioning goals that build on strengths across all areas for neurodivergent students. Once executive functioning goals are clear, strategies specific to executive functioning include the repetitive use of supports. These include things like schedules, peer or adult check-ins, graphic organizers, sentence starters, checklists, having an academic coach or advisor, using photo charts for older students, going to the writing center for support, using organizational tools, and multiple forms of technology. What's essential is the repetitive use of the same strategy. So when you identify one or more strategies that work, use them repeatedly and consistently so the executive functioning steps become routine for yourself or for the individual that you're striving to support. For example, if you find a graphic organizer that helps a student with paragraph writing, perhaps like the one shown here, it shows a topic sentence, 3 details and conclusions, you want to then use that same exact graphic organizer repeatedly. Do not change it up too soon until that becomes routine and the student who's benefiting from the graphic organizer starts to use the thinking strategies behind the graphic organizer independently. The use of graphic organizers as well as other visuals are considered as an evidence-based practice for students on the autism spectrum. Examples of other visuals include having a whiteboard in the homework completion or remote learning area at your house that displays daily goals for completion. Other visuals using picture schedules, also using technology such as watch reminders or online schedules. I mean, I know I would be lost without my daily calendar, and I'm sure many of you would be as well, whether or not you use a paper calendar or one that's online on your computer. So beyond graphic organizers and visuals, strategies specific to executive functioning supports include the use of schedules, designated homework locations, and work routines, and also clear directions and deadlines provided both verbally and visually or in writing. And I share here a nice special education teacher blog with many ideas and connections. This is a special education teacher, Christina Scully, and she also has some nice narrative and written suggestions for improving executive functioning on her website, in addition to the pretty cool graphic that she has that I show here on the screen. So moving on, what's most important is to recognize that executive functioning improves with the use of self-directed strategies. Not providing or selecting strategies and feeling upset or angry about executive functioning differences, however, is counterproductive and must be avoided. So if you're a student with executive functioning differences and feel overwhelmed, and maybe you don't have supports at home, you may be able to find supports with a school resource specialist or with an academic coach if you're a college student. And making and keeping appointments with these experts can be the first step to success and self-awareness, leading you to building your own self-regulation and executive functioning skills. The resource on this page, however, is a book for teachers or adults looking for more in-depth foundational executive functioning concepts. For example, for those of you really wanting inner details of the various types of memory, the stages of information processing, and that type of executive functioning detail. Well, I'd like to summarize here that executive functioning skills improve with supports and strategies in place, and consider universally designing education supports so executive function supports are in place from the onset of instruction. Key executive functioning and education supports include embedding executive functioning skills and strategies into the curriculum, using visuals, as I mentioned, graphic organizers, pictures, schedules, and whiteboards routinely, using visual timers, watches, countdowns, anything to support students in staying on task and also letting them know when transitions are going to occur, providing supports in starting tasks, such as sentence starters, pictures, other students' exemplars, initial planning on Post-it notes. If a student has a writing assignment for homework, having them get out a piece of paper, put down the heading, and get the first sentence started in class will go a long way in them being successful and being able to move forward on that assignment at home at night. Another one is incorporating movement and mindfulness breaks into instruction. So I conclude here by adding to our focus on executive functioning a few more general strategies for supporting neurodivergent learners. So in addition to supporting executive functioning skills, always ensure a means for communication and ensure there are multiple available modalities to communicate beyond verbal communication. Build on academic strengths, provide mental health and social emotional supports, provide clear roles in social situations, and always provide sensory-friendly environmental spaces. In conclusion, I urge you to make a personal connection to executive functioning as a precursor to working on executive functioning with your students, children, or others. Let's consider two takeaways here, starting with consider the following executive functions and identify one area you personally would like to improve upon: organization, being on time, managing your emotions, getting started on tasks, completing tasks in a timely manner. Then consider, what is one new strategy you can begin implementing daily to work on this executive function? For example, write out a schedule, use a timer, a calendar, technology, a chart, get an accountability buddy or a friend. I hope that this fourth video in the neurodiversity series provided you with some food for thought. And I want to mention again that there are multiple resources and links throughout the video. Our wonderful Learning Resource Center South staff has also uploaded this presentation. So at the conclusion of this video, you can pull up that presentation and search through all the various links, as well as the links here on this reference and resources slide. Thank you so much.